Hello friends, welcome to Tech Plus Lab. Today we're going to talk about a special kind of earphones that I have been using for a really long time. These are not known to show up everywhere. Actually, when I was purchasing something else, these accidentally came up under the screen and these looked really good, especially with the specifications. The rated impedance is about 32 ohms, so I just got these and let's see how they sound. So the model and make of these earphones is BASEUS and LARK el-01. Well, the el-01 is mentioned by the seller, but on the box I cannot really find that anywhere. So, well, looking at the box is kind of big for such a decent looking earphones. These are literally simplest earphones that I have ever found for this price tag. I mean, there are some others, but these are really simplest looking earphones. Nothing special about them. The the basic unit is made out of metal, and the wire is simple like baby touch wire, like the iPhone wire cable. Looking back at the box, we do have a QR code here. You scratch the little label and you find out a QR code. You scan it and it will check whether the earphones are genuine or not. It's really good to see these features on a Chinese market. The price of these earphones isn't just unique. They are priced anywhere from like $6 to all the way up to $12, right, that I have seen. And it's really not that weird because there are only a few listings for these earphones. Gearbest had them out of stock and AliExpress only few sellers have them, so it's up to you to where to buy from. But I'll leave the links that I find are cheaper in the description below. There aren't too many color options available, the basic black, silver and the pink option. Nonetheless, do look really good, and the silver, I took the silver because even when the color fades out it doesn't really look that bad. But for my surprise, the color never faded out till this time. I have been using these for quite a few days, and in fact I have used over 2 months. I have used these for over 2 months and these are really good, man. I mean, about the build quality, these look really simple and delicate. I'm definitely afraid of this cable, but to my surprise, even with rough handling, it's really good, except for the mic. In the box you get the earphones themselves and a couple of ear tips and a user manual. And the cable length is about 120 centimeters, and it got a mic, but I'll talk about that later on. That being said, let's quickly jump into the sound quality because I know that's what you are looking for. Before going into the sound quality, let me just tell you one little thing. I do really have kind of a hope for these things because some Chinese earphones that look really simple, really simple, but priced reasonably well, around the $10 range, are not something to just ignore and say, okay, I'm gonna see how they sound, because I do really have expectations for that particular reason that these are not that cheap considering the way they look. Talking about the sound quality, the first thing that I was surprised with is the bass and sub bass of these earphones. They are really good. Though I do have expectations for this, these are really good sounding earphones, and the impedance rating seems to be really true. Sometimes with these Chinese products, they just throw in some numbers onto the specification sheet that they don't even cross check with the product itself. So these are not like that. This seems to be really a 32 ohm impedance, and I knew that impedance isn't completely about the sound quality. It's just about how distinct the sound is. But that really is questionable in these. But what I'm talking about here is a bass only right now. Bass and sub bass, these are really good with these particular earphones. I did not do any kind of burning or anything, and right out of the box I really found these to be really punchy. They have really good boomy bass, and most importantly, that does not stop right there. This bass can further be amplified with the EQ in your phone if you do have a Viper or something, or this equalizer built onto your music players, whatever you have. These do really sound well and they don't distort the bass even after tweaking the EQ, which is really good for the price. I really like that. Now, talking about the mids and vocals, what I really want to tell you is if you're not that much into the bass and you are really keen about the mids and vocals, I think these are not that great for you, because bass overpowers a little bit to the vocals. I don't mean the vocals sound muddy, but what I really mean is the bass kind of really overflows onto the mids and vocals. I don't know how to explain this correctly, but that's what my feeling is. And the vocals don't sound distinct. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. They don't sound distinct. They kind of sound like mixed up with all the frequencies. And I don't mean this is unpleasant or anything like that. If you do love bass and you know how these kind of things at this price tag do overpower and make the sound muddy, these are not like that. They don't make the sound muddy, but what they do instead is they don't separate the vocals that much from the higher frequencies and the lower frequencies, which I'll talk about highs later on. But that's what the overall problem with this is. This is not a kind of problem if you're really a bass lover, but that depends on you. I don't judge you or judge the earphones depending on how they sound, because you might like that kind of sound stage. And when it comes to me, I do really like, especially when I was working out or something, I love this kind of sound. So I'm not really being on the negative side of this. I'm just talking about it. Okay, you judge based on what I say. I only tell how these sound. You check whether they are right for you or not. Okay, I hope you got the point. I may be stumbling upon this and how to explain this particular concept, but that's what I mean. I hope you understand it. And the issue with the highs and treble is the same, but what I really like about it is the equalization of these earphones has a really good impact on the sound quality, which means these respond to the EQ really well. If you want to get a good sound quality, you can just reduce the bass. And good sound quality, what I mean by that is obviously to your ear. That means if you want to get a clean vocals and better treble, you could just reduce the bass to make them a bit distinctive. That really works. That's what I'm telling you. So the highs and treble out of the box are not that great. They are distinctive, unlike the mids, but they are not up to the mark with the sound quality earphones, hi-fi earphones. That's what I mean, because these are basically bass-headed earphones. That's what they kept in mind when they were manufacturing this, and we can clearly see that by the time you keep these in your ear. Lastly, let's talk about comfort. These are really comfortable, but the tips they supply with this are not that good. In fact, they don't supply you with an S and an L tips. Instead, they supply you with an XS and an XL tip. I hope you understand that. They don't supply you with a small tip. They supply you with an extra small tip and an extra large tip instead of a large one. So if you don't fall into that category, maybe you want to change the tips. That's it. But other than that, these are really good. Let me talk about what I really did not like about these earphones. There's only one thing really, that is the mic and the volume control slide button. They say that it is really good, but they advertise as if this was one of the best volume slide control ever, and keeping the price in mind, about let's say $7 on an average, and that mic isn't really that good in my opinion. It's not that great either in any way. Like, the slider does not work up to my expectations. The slider seems to bump up the volume all the way at once, or just goes into nothing. It's like full throttle or nothing. I think you understand it. Like, it's not a progressive increase in the volume. And also the push to talk button is not that responsive. It sometimes gets really hard. Maybe it's a problem with my particular piece, or I don't know for sure if it's a problem with me, but I think since these things were manufactured all at once in a bulk, I think the problem should be with every earphone. So it's not that comfortable overall. That's what I can say. So my final word about these is that I cannot recommend these for the people who do a lot of calling on their mobile phone, especially because the remote isn't that great. Apart from that, if you are not the kind of person who would like to tweak the sound using the equalizer, and you don't like the bass head earphones, then you could stay away from these. That's it. Hope that explains really well. And remember that the button on the mic is not that convenient for video. Answering the phone calls, because it's not that clicky at times. You might want to press it really hard to answer a call. That's really a problem if you're using that for calling. And the mic is really good, but the volume control is a little bit sluggy. Sometimes it does work, sometimes it does work progressively, sometimes it does not work progressively at all. It just I don't know. As I tell you, maybe I got a defective piece, but I highly doubt it because they're all manufactured in the same batch. So keep that in mind, and you decide whether you like these or not. Okay? I'm not gonna be the judge of these earphones because of all these factors involved. And after taking all these into account, you decide whether you want these or not. Thank you for watching.